Japan and video games go together like Mario and Luigi. Welcome everyone, I'm Ricky with WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 greatest Japanese video game franchises. For this list, we'll be looking at the greatest Japanese franchises to ever grace the gaming industry. Also, we'll be putting a greater emphasis on series that are more successful in Japan rather than the West. Number 10. Resident Evil franchise. Coining the term survival horror, Capcom's Biohazard has been a staple of the industry since the mid-90s. Created by Shinji Mikami and Tokuro Fujiwara, Resident Evil's blend of puzzle solving, action, and horror instantly captured the attention of gamers everywhere, with the franchise growing into one of Capcom's best-selling IPs. While certain entries progressed a bit too far into Hollywood action territory, Resident Evil's main series has mainly been subjected to critical acclaim, with the drastically different second and fourth entries belonging among gaming's elite. With Resident Evil 7 Biohazard and the Resident Evil 2 remake proving to be a welcome return to form, Capcom's beloved horror series is not going anywhere.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Number 9. Megami Tensei franchise. Whether referring to Atlus's main series or the spin-off games, Shin Megami Tensei is synonymous with excellence. A turn-based JRPG that frequently opts for an urban rather than fantastical setting and never hesitates to put players through the ringer, Megami Tensei debuted on the Famicom in the late 80s, although the IP hit its peak during the PlayStation 2 era. Even though the still ongoing main series is brilliant and well worth checking out, Atlus's most renowned franchise may be Persona, a Megami Tensei spin-off that mixes traditional monster collecting gameplay with an in-depth social mechanic.
Did you catch that? Do those two know each other? Ooh, does that mean he hit on her before transferring here?
Number 8. Dragon Quest franchise.
Did you really think you would escape me, Darkspawn?
Damn it, they found us.
Step aside. JRPG royalty is coming through. Hailed as the grandfather of the genre, Dragon Quest's influence should not be underrated, as there would not be any Final Fantasy without this legendary franchise. Even if the series' iconic combat and fantasy setting may seem somewhat bare bones by today's standards, Dragon Quest's allure always pivoted on delivering an engaging but accessible experience that can be enjoyed by anyone. Despite being hugely popular in Japan, Dragon Quest failed to initially catch on in other regions, and it would take until the 7th and 8th entries for the JRPG to gain some traction in North America. Number 7. Street Fighter franchise. Oh, so many quarters were wasted trying to defeat M. Bison at the arcade. Revolutionizing the one-on-one fighting genre, Street Fighter 2 blew people's minds by actually introducing different playable characters, allowing for a ton of replayability. Over the years, Capcom has refined the formula and added cool little gimmicks like supers. However, Street Fighter's core mechanics have remained largely intact, and there is little point in messing with perfection. Putting aside Capcom's obsession with releasing multiple special editions of the same title, when it comes to fighting games, Street Fighter will always be the one to beat. Number 6. Metal Gear franchise.
Welcome to my country. And to my unit.
A PlayStation console would not feel complete without at least one mind-bending Hideo Kojima adventure. Inaugurated as an isometric stealth series for the MSX2 computer, the IP's reputation exploded with 1998's Metal Gear Solid, a thrilling third-person shooter that popularized stealth as a central mechanic. For better or worse, Kojima's narrative is infamous for taking a couple of weird turns, but a convincing argument can be made that Metal Gear Solid 2 elevated storytelling and gaming to a whole other level. Konami's handling of the brand has been somewhat questionable, but Metal Gear Solid is a rabbit hole worth traversing.
Looks like we both have a lot to learn about each other.
Number 5. Monster Hunter franchise. There is nothing more satisfying than bringing a skyscraper-sized Nergigante down to its knees. As gamers defeat colossal monsters in order to craft better gear, which is, in turn, required to hunt even bigger prey, Monster Hunter is the living embodiment of story does not matter and wastes little time in getting to the meat of things.
Stamina cap is dropped. Eat some well-done steak to restore it to max.
The premise may be shockingly simplistic, but Capcom's franchise has always sold itself on solid combat and an addictive gameplay loop. Considering that Monster Hunter World stands as Capcom's best-selling game to date, the franchise's formula seems to be working just fine. Number 4. Final Fantasy franchise. Arguably the most Japanese franchise in the business, Square Enix's Final Fantasy introduced many Western players to JRPGs. Be it a progression system or a side-view perspective in battles, the franchise's initial entries introduced many elements that would go on to define the genre. With the move to 3D, Final Fantasy VII revamped the series in a big way, and deserves quite a bit of credit for the PlayStation's commercial dominance over the N64. Even though Square Enix has made a couple of missteps over the years, Final Fantasy has rarely hesitated to experiment with unique mechanics in order to push JRPGs forward.
What are you looking at?
We were just worried you guys might have gone crazy.
Number 3. The Legend of Zelda franchise. Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka established the pillars of modern gaming, and nearly every 3D title in existence owes something to one of the duo's many franchises. Putting aside a handful of spin-offs and the confusing The Adventure of Link, an entry in Nintendo's franchise is nearly always greeted with universal acclaim and a flood of awards, with Ocarina of Time being the highest-rated game of all time on Metacritic. Packing dungeons with puzzles, engaging combat, and quirky characters, The Legend of Zelda offers something for everyone. And if Breath of the Wild is anything to go by, Link's adventures may keep getting even better. Number 2. Pokémon franchise. The second best-selling franchise in history, Nintendo's RPG has served as the perfect gateway into the genre for over 2 decades. Even without mentioning the never-ending anime or Pikachu's staggering popularity, Pokémon cannot be viewed as anything less than a resounding success that continues to go strong until this very day. Even though innovation was never the franchise's strongest suit, Pokémon's core gameplay contains just enough depth to warrant multiple revisits, while Red and Blue were among the most impressive RPGs released for the Game Boy. Frankly, what other franchise could motivate people to hit the streets in droves just to play a video game? Before we jump into our number 1 entry, here are a few very honorable mentions. Not quite at the end yet. Almost there though. Just be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Alright, back to business. Number 1. Mario franchise. Seriously, is there any other series that could have taken the number 1 spot? As gaming's indisputable mascot, Mario's reach extends far beyond the medium, and Nintendo's IP is comfortably the highest-grossing franchise of all time. Debuting in Donkey Kong before earning his own series in the groundbreaking Super Mario Bros., the former plumber is always at the forefront of any cutting-edge technological advancements, a fact that was never more apparent than Super Mario 64's leap from 2D side-scrolling to 3D sandbox gameplay. Whether racing around in Mario Kart or leading Luigi to superstardom in one of the many sports spin-offs, Mario's mere name is enough to sell a project. Super Mario essentially saved the video game industry in North America from collapsing, and we have Japan and Nintendo to thank for it. Alright guys, thank you for stopping by. If you're in the mood for more awesome video game content, make sure to check out this Mojo Plays video over here, and if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe.